This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. We don't have to use fair use today because these are my documents. It's good to see y'all. Crystal's here. Malibu Surf trying out all of the emojis. Michelle is here. Good to see you. Miss Scorpio's here. Hannah UK. Bogart. Amy. Good to see you. Lori Ann. Indy. Southern Cats. Dandelion. Dandelion. I was picking dandelions this morning. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Cindy from sunny South Florida. Kimmy C123. Miss King of Anything. Hilsandra is here. Tiny, hi. Psychic Amelia, good to see you. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Bogart, good to see you. Michelle, I said hey to you already. Connie, good to see you. Jenny Jen, Soups, good to see you. Amanda, good to see you. Scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Callie, good to see you. One sunny day, good to see you. All my lovely people are here. Lou, good to see you. That the thumbnail is a jump scare. Oh, good gracious. West Side Crime Show, good to see you. That thumbnail is kind of a jump scare. That is Stern's new forever home photo. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Miss Sarah. Anders, good to see you. Kelly, good to see you. Hi, everyone. So glad y'all are here. All right, so we have the documents. Do we ever have the documents? I'm going to start with Stearns. I do have one that has not been released that I just got right now as we were coming live. It is an older document that I had requested before trial, finally got it. And then we're going to go to the court website because there's a bunch of documents that have been dropped since he has been through trial and all of that, and it's on to his life at the Department of Corrections. And we'll look at them and we'll go through them. And then I've got all the Brian Kohburger documents. I'm sure y'all have seen them on these YouTube streets, but I haven't been through any of them. I haven't had time. So we're going to kind of skip through them together and see what we can find. So this one is the state of Florida as a plaintiff versus Stephan Michael Stearns. It is the joint motion to continue. And it says, comes now, the state of Florida by and through the undersigned assistant state attorney and states and allege as follows. In conferring with opposing counsels, both parties moved to continue this case from its preset trial date of July 14th, 2025. The grounds are that the parties are awaiting rulings from the court on pretrial motions. Additional pretrial motions may be filed, and preparation for trial is contingent on these matters. The parties request an in-court hearing to discuss new trial dates if the motion is to be granted by the court. Now, this motion was denied. I was wondering, though, why they wanted to continue because the sheriff of Osceola County had been he had just got in trouble for all of that illegal gambling. So I wanted to know if it was because of that or because at the time we had not gotten a ruling back on the suppression of the Google Drive evidence. And evidently it was the suppression of the Google Drive thing from what I'm reading. Hey, Tom. And I haven't been able to catch up. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you're here today. These are all kind of new things that we're going over. Or I haven't discussed any of this stuff yet. So, I have discussed the plea deal, but we're going to talk about that today. Hopefully my voice will let me read all of these documents. All right. So this is going to be for the homicide case. So we have a notice of arrest or pending prosecution of recurring witness. What on earth is that? Let's see. Okay, state of Florida versus Stephan Michael Stearns. It says the state hereby gives notice pursuant to Florida criminal procedure that a law enforcement arrest has been made of or there is pending prosecution against a recurring witness who has been listed by the state as a witness in the above styled case, to wit, Sheriff Marco Lopez. This new arrest or prosecution has been given this case number. So there's Marco Lopez's case number. It is 2025-CF-1479 by the clerk of court, and it is assigned to the Lake County Circuit Court. Marcos Lopez is also on the state's Brady's identification system for matters related to truthfulness. Sheriff. Dirty deed sheriff. No, that's not the music teacher. Malibu, that's the sheriff. Everything I had on the music teacher is on Patreon. I think he got deported to Italy. I'm not positive though. I know that he got in big trouble for what he had going on. Had to get me a drink of my Red Bull. All right, on the 18th of July, there was a notice of a hearing. I think we read this one. You are notified about the plea deal. Yep, we did. And it was to be heard on July 21st, 2025 at 1:30. Real quick, if you want to watch that or you haven't seen the plea hearing, which I'm sure our speculating family has, but I do have it, and I will show you what it looks like. What's that thumbnail? Hey, Anita. Anita. So this is the plea hearing right here. No contest on homicide, guilty on CSAM. What the actual fuck? The plea hearing, it was 3 hours and 34 minutes and 40 seconds to be exact. Hey, Lily Gal, good to see you. Yes, if y'all don't mind, please hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up. All right, now we'll jump back over here. This is the credit for time served worksheet from July 21st. So let's see. Stephan Stearns got credit for time served. So for April 24th of 2024 through July 10th, he got 78 days 78 days. July 11th through October 14th, he got 46 days for a total of 164, I believe. October 15th through July 21st, he got 280 days for a total of 448 days. So that means, like, in court, as far as the record shows for the amount of time that he's going to have to serve, he will have credit for the 488 days that he did do in jail. Miss Scorpio Rising gifted a membership. Thank you so very much for that, Miss Scorpio Rising. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate it. Let me see if I can access this here live and see who that went to. Hold on just a minute. That went to Psychic Amelia. Yay, Psychic Amelia. That's awesome. Psychic Amelia, I'm going to grab the crazy train to pick you up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Miss Scorpio. Yay, Psychic Amelia. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Yes. Sorry about that. Okay. Morning, Madeline. Oh, thank you for saying thank you, Miss Scorpio. Awesome. Yay. Nicole, I know. I'm so sad about that. I've been watching where Ozzy, like, where they did the Osbournes or whatever the show was, and watching them talk and stuff. It's been so sad. Simone, good to see you. And all I need is Jesus. Good to see you. Nicole said, we all know Jen is a piece of shit mom, but not showing up for her daughter. It's absolutely sickening. And she couldn't even be bothered to write a victim impact statement, not even take a minute and write something for your daughter. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Hey, Gigi, good to see you. Chow, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That was so very sweet of you, and I really appreciate it. Hello to you. It's good to see you. Um, Thank you so much, Chow. I really appreciate that. Those membership those memberships went to Philly Will, ES, Jennifer Letner, Sadie's Mama, and Marley Mum. If you were gifted from Chow and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Chow thank you. Thank you again, Chow. That was so sweet and supportive and amazing of you, and I really appreciate that so very much. In memory of Ozzy, I'm going to come pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station with the Crazy Train. Thank you so much, Chow. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I appreciate that so much, Chow. Dang, I forgot to write my start time. Hey, Jindy. Listening, had to help share the geese drinking coffee video with the world. They love my coffee. They do it every morning. All right, so now we're on to fingerprints concerning above named defendant. You want to see his nasty fingerprints? They probably got doo-doo stains on them. This is for count 1, first-degree homicide, a capital felony. Yuck. I feel like there's crusties in between the fingerprints. Like that one looks like it's got some crusties right there. There's his fingerprints, y'all. Yuck. Stephan Michael Stearns, 21st day of July, 2025. That's disgusting. All right, now we're on the plea agreement. Geese with a caffeine buzz. Geese with a caffeine buzz. Yes, they are funny. They are very funny, especially when they drank my coffee. I have not done the mushroom coffee yet, but I've seen it. Hey, Vero, good to see you. Doodoo Stearns, hey, Dainty Dane, good to see you, love. Those are some grubby fingerprints. I would not want them touching me. I wouldn't either. Couldn't pay me enough. Psychic Amelia said even his fingerprints are a freak like he is. Yeah. Okay. So here is the plea agreement. We went over this before, but we'll go over it again. He pled no contest to first-degree murder, a capital offense. The prosecutor has recommended the following: AG life without parole. CC ran concurrent, as noted in plea addendum. I understand the total maximum penalty for the crime to be death. He signed it. I understand the court accepts my plea. I give up my right to a trial by jury, have a jury determine whether I'm guilty or not guilty, see and hear the witnesses testify, and have my attorneys question them for me, subpoena and present witnesses and items of evidence in my defense, and to present any defense I might have to the jury, testify or remain silent, and require the prosecutor to prove my guilt by admissible evidence beyond a reasonable doubt before I can be found guilty. He signed that. I was like, why are we not scrolling? Plea understanding. I understand that a plea of guilt admits that I committed the crimes, and a plea of no contest says that I do not contest the evidence against me. I understand that if the court accepts my plea, there will be no trial, and the court will impose sentences based upon my plea. Stephan signed it. I've read the information in the case, and I understand the charge to which I enter my pleas. I have reviewed the evidence against me. I know of no physical evidence containing DNA which could exonerate me. My attorneys have or has explained to me the maximum penalty for the charge, the essential element of the crime, and possible defense to the crime. I understand these things. I also understand that if I'm on probation, blah, 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 blah. You sign that. No one has pressured, forced, or threatened or coerced me to enter the pleas. I'm entering the pleas because I believe it is in my best interest, is what he checked. He understands he could be deported. He completed 12th grade and he reads and writes in English. At the present time, I'm not under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication or narcotics. I am not presently taking any medication. He signed that. I understand the state of Florida is not seeking an enhanced sentence as non-applicable. for which the court may impose a sentence of non-applicable. He signed that. Understand that I will be sentenced to the statutory maximum unless the court gives me a greater sentence if I'm entering plea of guilty or no contest to any offenses, and the offense was committed within 3 years of my release from a state correctional facility. That does not apply, but he signed it. I understand that my sentence will be imposed pursuant to Florida law and the Criminal Punishment Code score sheet. He signed that. I agree the correct amount of time served that I'm entitled to is, and he got the 444 days. He signed that. Understand that I may serve every day of my sentence. No one has promised me that I will be released prior to the expiration of my sentence, nor that I will receive any good and gain time. He signed that. So I guess that means that he's definitely not going to get any good credit for, it's saying that he's not going to get like good credit for accepting this plea deal and doing that. You okay, Vera? It is, isn't it? It's so nice to see our little speculating family grow. Hey, Edith, good to see you. I know, right, Nicole and Lily? Oh, I'm so sorry, Edith. I didn't even read that. I know that you had said something about that the other day. That's a hard thing to deal with. I'm so sorry. I've been praying for you, though. I'm so sorry. Okay. Attorney fees. I do weigh my right to a hearing and agree that $100 is a reasonable sum to pay for the services of my court-appointed attorneys. So I don't know, he agreed that he could pay $100, I guess. Understand that if I'm entering a plea of guilty or no contest to a sexually motivated offense, or if I've been previously convicted of a sexually motivated offense, the plea may subject me to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of my sentence. Stephan signed that. I understand that if I'm entering a plea of guilty or no contest to an offense for which an automatic, mandatory, or discretionary driver's license privilege suspension or revocation is required, or I don't know what that word is, by law, may be imposed to the court by a separate okay, it's talking about a driver's license. He ain't driving no damn where anytime soon. I understand that while I'm incarcerated, my probation, community control, and parole is told unless or otherwise by the court. That doesn't apply. DNA, I understand the court will order me to submit a DNA sample. He signed that. Sentencing date, I understand that if the court permits me to remain at liberty pending my sentence, that would be if he bailed out before he got sentenced, but he didn't. Sign that. Understand that if my financial obligations are referred to the collections court program for collection, that any failure to comply with the collection court program requirements will result in the suspension of my driving privilege. He signed that. I do not waive my right to be present at any resolution attorney fee cost hearing. He signed that. So that means he wants to be at any attorney cost hearing. No one has promised me that the case will be sealed or expunged. I understand I have 30 days to file an appeal of in writing to, okay. I understand that I have 30 days to file an appeal of in writing of the court's judgment and sentence to the clerk of court. I understand that if I cannot afford attorney, won't be appointed to me, blah, blah, blah. My attorney has explained to me what an appeal is. By entering this plea, I understand that I give up my right to appeal all matters except 1, the legality of my sentence, and 2, this court's authority to hear this case, and 3, any pretrial ruling for which I have reserved the right to appeal and for which this court has made a finding that controls an issue in this case, and he signed that. And then he says, I've read every word of this and discussed it with my attorneys, and I fully understand it, and he signed that. Okay. Now down here, we've got State of Florida as the plaintiff versus Stephan Michael Stearns. This is the addendum. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were watching the plea hearing, the judge said, isn't there an addendum to this plea? And they all took a sidebar. So that's this is what they were discussing, and we're going to read it. Anders said his parents are going to set up a trust for him so he can keep on buying root beer barrel candy. They absolutely are, per the jail phone calls. I'm probably starting to work a new job soon. I won't be able to be here as much, but I will be here as much as I can, of course. I wish you luck with your new job. A job is way more important than being here, sweetheart. But we will miss you, and I will look forward to seeing you when you can make it. Michelle said, I feel bad for Chris. Deborah and Stephan are a perfect pair. I agree with you. I do kind of feel bad for Chris Stearns. West Side Crime Show. Aw, I'm sorry you're losing your voice. Drink you some warm make some tea with some honey in it, and that might help. Mm. Hey, Obsidian. Good to see you, love. Okay. Yeah, so I think this is what was being discussed at the sidebar, because right before that he talked about the addendum to the plea. So let's talk about that. I believe this is what the sidebar was about. It says the assistant state attorney, um, Danielle Pinnell and William J., and the defendant, Stephan Michael Stearns, as well as his lawyers, Elizabeth Burden and Alicia Smith, agree to all the conditions outlined in this addendum to plea form and incorporate them into the plea agreement for these two cases. The defendant will enter a plea of guilty to counts 1 through 20 in the CSAM case. The defendant will be sentenced to life in the Department of Corrections on all 20 counts, and the sentences will run concurrently to each other as well as concurrently to the sentence in the homicide case. In exchange for the plea of guilty on counts 1 through 20, the state will enter a nolle prosequi on counts 21 through 60 of the CSAM case. Furthermore, the state will file no additional charges against the defendant for any alleged sexual abuse regarding the named victim in counts 1 through 20, nor will the state file any additional charges regarding any child pornography that was recovered in any county during the course of this investigation and prosecution. Okay, sorry, I had to clear my throat. Now, we talked about that real quick, and we were wondering if that was basically, okay, so if you think about all of the CSAM that happened to Maddie between the ages of 8 or 9 and all the way up until the day before her homicide, they lived in, what is that other county? They lived in the apartment down somewhere, possibly St. Cloud. So I'm wondering if, and we were wondering if, they have CSAM on his phone from the time period that they all lived in the apartment and they were not in Kissimmee, and if that's what it's related to, because that would technically be in another county, and it says the same victim, so it's not that he abused another child. It is Maddie, but it's talking about another county. Now, it could be just in general, but I think it's related directly to this case. And that's the only thing that makes sense to me. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know what you think it could be. So he cannot be charged with further CSAM against Maddie or anyone. He can't be charged with any further CSAM against Maddie. Sarasota. Thank you, Hannah. So Sarasota, when they lived in Sarasota, the abuse was probably going on there as well, and I think that's what it's about. The county that Sarasota is in, he can't be charged for that separately after taking this plea. Jenny Jen said, so no charges for the 35,000 images Chris turned in on the flash drive. That's true as well. I didn't think that he was going to get charged with that because the abuse of Maddie it takes precedence over that, because the abuse of Maddie, he is the actual perpetrator. Okay, so they can identify that it was his member and him abusing her. Whereas with the 35,000 images on the flash drive, I'm assuming he is not in any of those videos actually abusing the child or children that were abused in those videos. So while, yes, we could charge him with having child pornography, we could charge him with all of the counts he got charged with in relation to Maddie and the homicide, and therefore not have to spend money on the 35,000 images and giving him that lesser charge when there's really no point in their eyes, in the eyes of the state, and the finances and the money it takes to do all these things. So they went with the stuff with Maddie. Hey, ankle, big deal, bad deal. So if another child comes out saying that he abused them, he cannot be charged. What kind of justice is that? We love you, Maddie. I do believe he could be charged if another child comes out because it says specifically this victim. So if they found out he abused Maddie in another county or another place at another time, he couldn't be charged with that. But as far as somebody else, I think he could. 1,500 pics and videos of Maddie, 35,000 of others unidentified. Yep. I think that's where he was trading videos on the dark web, if I had to guess. Hashtag Jen New. Anita said, am I the only one who thinks that Stearns and James Santa Cox were in the same circle of friends who did the CSAM activities too? A lot of people think that, Anita. I've heard that a lot. That happened not long after Stephan was arrested. So I don't know. I don't know if we would ever know either, but I think so. I think owning CSAM carries a hard sentence in Florida, but no life without parole. Right. So it would be a hard sentence, but they can get him with Maddie, and it guarantees life without the possibility of parole or death. All right. Continuing with the document. Number 3. The defendant waives his right to file an appeal regarding the denial of any or all of the motions to suppress, which were denied by the trial court on July 1st of 2025. So basically, he's not able to file an appeal regarding all of the motions to suppress that the judge denied. He can't go back and say, I want this looked at again because I feel like the judge was wrong. He talked about that in the emails, filing an appeal or trying to get it heard again because he didn't agree with what the judge said. Basically, the plea agreement says he can't do that. Number 4, the defendant understands that by entering into a plea agreement with the state of Florida, the state will not be required to present any witness. The state will not be required to present witness testimony and the digital evidence to prove the allegations in the information filed against the defendant. Although the visual evidence would be presented in a manner that members of the public would not be able to view it, the defendant agrees that it is in his best interest not to have the testimony and evidence against him presented during a trial in a public courtroom. Basically, they don't want to show the pictures and videos of Maddie. And like I've said for a very long time, I get that 100%, but I think that a jury should be made to watch that and make a decision on his life or death. I think that somebody needs to know exactly what that monster did to Maddie and then make a decision on his life. That's always been my feeling. Definitely get them the therapy they need afterwards, but I think that I feel like her story is unfinished if nobody knows exactly what he did except the police officers who saw it. Number 5, the defendant will enter a plea of no contest to the first-degree homicide charge. The defendant will be sentenced to life in the Department of Corrections, and the sentence shall run concurrently with the sentences in the CSAM case. In exchange, the state will waive its notice of intent to seek the death penalty. So basically, that the whole plea deal right there. He said no contest for first-degree homicide, and he pled guilty for the CSAM, and in exchange, the state took off the death penalty. Number 6, both the defendant and state understand that a sentence of death could not be given to the defendant unless there was a conviction for first-degree homicide and an 8-4 jury recommendation for a death sentence, and that the court would ultimately determine if a death sentence would be pronounced if the jury made a recommendation for a sentence of death. Basically, the jury has to be in majority about a death sentence, and then they would make a recommendation if that were on the table, but it's not on the table now. 7, the state and the homicide survivors have the benefit of the certainty of a conviction with a sentence of life in the Department of Corrections, as well as the finality of the relatively few options for post-conviction relief with a plea agreement. In turn, the defendant knows with certainty that he will not face a sentence of death. So basically, the family knows for a fact that Stephan's going to be in the Department of Corrections for life, and there's not that many options for him to be paroled, or he can't be paroled. And in exchange, they're going to take the death penalty off the table. 8, the defendant acknowledges that all the documentary and digital evidence, barring unexpected supplemental discovery, has been provided to and reviewed by his team of attorneys. The defendant does not wish for any additional time to review or discuss the evidence with his team of attorneys. Basically, they've looked at everything. He doesn't need more time to go over it with them. Hey, Boomer. Oh, yep, there you are. Hey, Boomer. Rita, nice to see you. In my opinion, Jen is as guilty as Stephan. She handed Madeline over. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I don't think she's going to face charges. I really don't. And that sucks. I think that the state of Florida has said this is the person who committed this homicide. This is the person that abused Madeline. He's guilty of it. He's spending the rest of his life in prison. Therefore, case closed. And it's sad. Sandra said the death penalty wasn't an option in the CSAM case. This was done prior to the law going into effect, and it's widely known it most likely won't even happen and be overturned by the Secretary of the United States. I didn't know that. Thank you for that. Hey, Dolly. I think, unfortunately, prosecution is not interested in Jen Soto anymore. Exactly. Respect pickles. I've been making a lot of pickles the past couple of days. It's nice to meet you. So he has the right to do a motion of appeal, but if something's off, stay, give a plea deal. Why did they not have a strong case? That upset me. There's a lot of reasons why they could have done it, to save the state the money of going through a trial. And I think the most important thing to them was Maddie's dignity by not showing the videos and pictures in a courtroom but they were going to do it where only the jury saw it, right? And again, like I said, I understand that Maddie deserves dignity, but I think somebody should have seen that and made a decision on his life, honestly. Hey, real Pocahontas, at least for neglect. I agree. How's everyone colonoscopy appointments? Oh my goodness. Dainty, you're so funny. Crystal said, I totally agree. I just wish they would get her for neglect at least. Yeah, I do too. My brother alert. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Hey, LJ. I believe they wanted to save a jury pool from being exposed to the CSAM and protect Maddie's dignity. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. I'm sure the detectives were pissed at Jen for all she did, and Jen can't imagine true justice for Maddie without Jen paying for what she did. If Jen wasn't her mom, this wouldn't be. I agree. She did deserve her day in court. House shouldn't have been tore down, but something isn't sitting right. Oh yeah, with the BK stuff, absolutely. Oh, Supreme Court's not Secretary. Okay, thank you. I apologize for misspeaking. All right. 9. The defendant wait a minute. Yeah, we were at 9. The defendant understands that his attorneys may take depositions of all the witnesses on the state's list, and he is satisfied and in agreement with the decision not to proceed with any additional depositions. Basically, they could have deposed everybody, but they didn't. Number 10, the defendant understands that even if he does not wish for his attorneys to do so, they are obligated to prepare a mitigation case on his behalf for a potential sentencing phase at his murder trial. The defendant understands that by accepting this plea agreement, his attorneys will stop working on both defending and the guilt phase for the trial on the homicide charge as well as the sentencing phase. The defendant understands that the mitigation presented to the state thus far regarded an incident involving a car striking him as a child. Now, what that means is basically they were going to present mitigating circumstances for the trials and for the sentencing phase. And they don't have to do that now. And it's in relation to him being ran over by the truck and the alleged TBI that he didn't even spend the night in the hospital over. But okay, go on ahead with your bad self. Okay. Number 11. The defendant understands that if he went to trial on either case or both cases, he could appeal any errors he felt the court or state committed during the trial or trials. However, by entering a plea and waiving his right to appeal the decision on his 3 motions to suppress evidence in the CSAM trial, the only issues he can appeal are the legality of his sentence and the jurisdiction of the court over him. So basically, he can't appeal anything except jurisdiction, which is basically where his court, where he was, where everything happened in Osceola County. He could have argued that it shouldn't have been in Osceola County for X amount of reasons, but I mean, the crimes were committed in Kissimmee, so he would probably fail at that argument, which is because Kissimmee is in Osceola County. The majority of the crimes, from my understanding, were committed there in Kissimmee. And then the legality of his sentence, he could say it's not legal for you to give me life without the possibility of parole for these charges. And is the list of reasons why. Again, he would probably fail miserably at that because not only is it a possible sentence, but he could have also got the death sentence. Sorry, I'll get it in a damn minute. And that was taken off the table. So, I mean, he really can't appeal anything because that would just be stupid. 12, the defendant understands that if he successfully moves to withdraw his plea and sentences that A, the state's notice of intent to seek the death penalty will be reinstated, and he will proceed to trial on the homicide charge facing a potential sentence of death. Basically, if he appeals the jurisdiction or the legality of his sentence, these things would come back into play. B, the state's nolle prosecutus on counts 21 through 60 in the CSAM will be nullified, and he will proceed to trial on all 60 counts in the CSAM case. And the state will be permitted to file any and all additional charges against him in any county in Florida where such charges may arise regarding any uncharged sexual abuse of the named victim in counts 1 through 20, as well as any additional child pornography charges. Basically, I do think they have him abusing her in Sarasota. I don't know what county that is. It might be Sarasota County. And they would bring that back on the table. And then 13, the defendant understands that if he successfully finds any post-conviction relief on either or both cases, that all of the conditions outlined in paragraph 12A, 12B, and 12C, these 3 that I just read right here, will apply at the state's discretion. So basically, if he was able to get out of jail, I do believe, those could come back into play because he's got life without the possibility of parole. And it was signed. Isn't it interesting that there was 13 paragraphs? Like, unlucky number 13 for Stephan Stearns. What are we not being told? There has to be something. I think there's a hell of a lot we're not being told. Pickles. I really do. All right, and then we got the Department of Correction packet sentence. They waived $49, waived $1, waived $392, waived $1, 10 waived. Oh, they waived $3, they waived $100, waived $20, waived $100, and then we've got the order for civil judgment. So it says the matter having come before me. Oh yeah, this is what. Okay, the girl who gave me the potato email that we talked about pointed this out to me, and y'all are going to find it real interesting as well. So in the order for civil judgment, it says this matter having come before me and the court being advised in the premises, it is thereupon ordered and decreed that a civil judgment is hereby entered against the defendant for $666 upon order of the court. And there's the breakdown of the fees. Okay, so the plea agreement had exactly 13 subsections, and then he has to pay $666. Can we get any more demonic? And he owes over $11,000. This is just the civil judgment. Thank you, Boomer. Does it get any more crazy than that? 13 subsections on the plea agreement, $666. So there's a $49 criminal public defense application filing fee. So basically, his application for the what is it? Public defender's office to represent him. The application he filled out, there's a filing fee of $50. He has to pay, I don't know, Department of Public Service charge for $1. Felony adjudication guilty court costs of $392. Felony adjudication guilty service charge of $1. $3 teen court fee. I don't know what that is. $100 cost of prosecution, and then $20 felony crime stoppers fee, and then $100 public defender lien. Okay, let's go back here. I think that's all they have up on that one, and I think the other ones are going to be the same. Docket, DOC packet submitted via ePortal, but we don't have those. All we have are these that have a thing beside it where you can click. That was the homicide. We'll go to the CSAM and see if there's any other documents there. There's all the fees, okay. Whew. He got a bunch of rape crisis program surcharges, a bunch of $3 teen court fees, a bunch of felony crime stopper fees, cost of prosecution, all of the ones we just read, battery and domestic violence surcharge, all of those, battery and domestic violence surcharge, all of those. All of this stuff, battery and domestic violence right here, that makes me wonder if Madeline, like, she was strangled to death, right? And he's got battery and domestic violence surcharges. So domestic violence is going to be a fight or anything like that with somebody that you live with. So I'm wondering, did he get in a fight with her that night and they were arguing or something like that and he choked her to death? And if they did get in a fight, allegedly speculating, could it be because she told him to stop? Could it be because she told him she had a boyfriend, that she wanted all the shit to stop? He got mad, lost his temper, and strangled her to death? I'm wondering if that's what happened. I really am. 11,000 plus in total fees. How in the world can he pay that off? Take that back. How are mom and daddy Stearns going to pay all that money to the court? We all know Stearns is broke as all get out. It's a good question. Pickles said, I think she was going to tell. Hey, Cara. We know she's watching like a stalker. Oh, we know she is. Put the middle fingers up and say, hey. I think she told him she was telling if he didn't stop and he snuffed her out. I agree. A lot of you think she was going to tell. Yep. Hey, Curious. Y'all are cute. Oh, wrong page. Hold on. Okay. Then we got the $3 teen court fee, Crime Stopper court cost, crimes against a minor court cost. All of these are, hold on. All of these are crimes against a minor court cost. And then rape crisis program surcharge. So the total outstanding is $11,033 plus the $666 for the civil case would be $11,699 that he owes. So we have, okay, we looked at the plea agreement. We can look at the sentencing guidelines score sheet. Okay, so he got 46 points times 3 for sexual battery with a child 12 to 18 from the familial or custodial authority. All three of those equals 46 points, so his total score was 506. He also got a death, which was 400, and a sever, which was 280. So that was 680. Then he got all of the sexual battery with a child from the familial or custodial authority. Okay, so his total points was 1,278. Total sentence points 1,278. If the total sentence points are greater than 44, so it's 1,278 minus 28 equals 1,250 times 0.75 equals 937. Lowest permissible prison sentence in months. So that means that if he got charged with the lowest possible charge, he would have to do 937 and a half months in prison. If total sentence points are 60 points or less, the court makes findings pursuant to Florida statutes. The court may place the defendant in a treatment-based drug program. So if you had less than 60 points, you could do a drug treatment thing. The maximum sentence for each individual felony offense is the statutory maximum provided in that, unless the lowest permissible sentence listed above exceeds the statutory maximum for that offense. So he got life on all of those. So total maximum sentence in years for all counts above, if consecutive sentences imposed, is life. That's interesting to look at the score sheet there. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. What are y'all saying? Does anyone here know how much the car Stern signed over to the POA to his parents cost? Would the cost of the sale of said car pay off all these fines? I don't think so. It was an older style car. Hold on just a minute. Sorry. My modern math said that's over 44, right? Hey, Madeline. I think I said hey. Oh, Discord is confusing. He's living in hell for the rest of his life, so it's fitting. It is. Ooh, let me scroll all the way down. He didn't accidentally take her. He was losing control. She was speaking up and standing up. He knew he'd get into trouble with all the photos and videos. I agree. Hey, Christine. It was an older Honda, would get a couple thousand at best. Yep, I agree. I think that's where I stopped speaking. Yeah, I don't think they could get $11,000 out of that car, honestly. All right. The next document is restitution or name and address of victim. I'm going to look at that real quick to make sure. They probably redacted it. Okay, hold on. Looks like I can pull it up. I don't see anything incriminating on it. We know the name of the victim anyway. Restitution and DNA order. The cause being heard regarding restitution, the defendant should be required to make pursuant Florida statutes provide that an order of restitution may be enforced by the state or a victim named in the order in the same manner as a judgment in a civil action, and that default and payment of restitution may be collected by any means authorized by law enforcement of a judgment. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudicated as followed that restitution is not ordered as it is not applicable. So basically, he's not paying restitution to Maddie because Maddie's deceased, if I'm understanding correctly. Okay, next we have this felony sentencing order. I did put all of these documents and the Kohburger documents on my Patreon if y'all are interested. This is the state of Florida versus Stephan Michael Stearns. Judgment and sentence fingerprints. 1 through 8, sexual battery on a child under 12, it's capital offense. 9 through 13, sexual battery with a child 12 to 18, familial or custodial authority. 14 through 20, lewd or lascivious molestation, 25-year minimum. Maximum is life. 21 through 60, unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images, F2. Those are the names of his attorneys. Change of plea, defendant is present. Counts 1 through 20 as charged. Adjudicated on counts 1 through 20. Minimum mandatory 25 years on count 14 through 20. And he got life without parole on counts 1 through 20. Concurrent to all counts and sentences in the homicide trial. None of these are checked. Victim impact statements read on the record. Court costs, Crime Stoppers, Teen Court. Okay, this is all the places he had to pay the money for. The money for the civil judgment. That's about it on that. All right, let's see what the next document is. We got the fingerprint document again. We can look at his little crusty fingers again real quick. Hey, Alex, look at them crusty fingerprints. 21 life sentences in total. Yep, Boomer. Thank you for that. He's doing the same thing he would have been doing out. Nothing. That's true. If it ain't nailed down, he's selling it. No doubt. Is there proof that he sold stuff like Tamagotchis or whatever? I'm starting to think he didn't even sell anything. Probably not. He probably collected all of them. Total value of Stephan Stern's assets: a popcorn bucket, a mouse droid, a few Tamagotchis, some Warhammer figurines, and a lightsaber. Maybe $1,000. Total assets in 38 years. Yep. Alex, good to see you. Jenny Jen said, I believe the fees, for example, could be the victim's family asking for funeral expenses to be reimbursed. That's a good theory you have there, and it's very possible. I think that that's very possible and probable. So there's his little crusty fingerprints. And it's obvious that he essayed Maddie that evening. Yep. They were looking for the red shirt, the red Deadpool shirt, and they could never find it. And he was known to have it on that morning. And they said there's images where he's abusing Maddie in a red Deadpool shirt. And if you go back to the live streams, I talk about it then. I said, I think that he abused her. They talk about that red Deadpool shirt that he's wearing where he abuses Maddie. And then he also had it on that morning, and they're looking for it. All right, so we see the credit for time served worksheet. Now we got the Department of Correction packet. We haven't seen this. The above named defendant having been duly charged with the offense specified herein in the court, in the above styled court, and he been duly convicted and adjudicated guilty of and sentenced for said offense by the court, as appears from the attached certified copy of indictment information, judgment, sentence, and felony deposition, from which are hereby made parts hereof. Now, therefore, this is to command you that said sheriff to take and keep within a reasonable time after receiving this commitment, safely deliver the said defendant, together with any pertinent investigation report prepared in this case, into the custody of the Department of Correction of the state of Florida. This is to command you, the said Department of Corrections, by and through your secretary, regional directors, superintendents, and other said officials, to keep and safely imprison the said defendant for the term of said sentence in the institution on the state correctional system to which you, the said Department of Corrections, may cause the said defendant to be conveyed or thereafter transferred, and these present shall be your authority for the same. Herein fail not. And Judge Keith Karsten signed it. Fall term of 2022. Stephan Michael Stearns. Okay. Now we have the Department of Corrections sentence, which is evidently 21 daggone pages. What on earth is this? The Rolex. I don't know. I thought not me. He wouldn't lie and steal from me. Bitch, please. I'm divorcing autocorrect. Okay. As to count 1, he's adjudicated guilty for a term of life. Jail credit. It's further ordered that the defendant shall be allowed a total of 509 days credit. Sentence 2, adjudicated guilty for natural life, 509 days credit. All of those are going to be the same. Oh, yeah, through each sentence. So that's what it is, 1 page for each charge. And he got, remember, 21 life sentences. So it's all the same. He's been adjudicated guilty for a term of natural life, and he's got credit for 509 days that he served. It's further ordered that the sentence imposed for this crime shall run concurrent with the sentence set forth in counts 1 through 20 of above, and it's running concurrent with the homicide case or the other case. Okay. Nolle prosequi is the next document. They should stop parents from putting money on books. I hope that they take part of it. I do. I really do. Eating meals made of green bologna. I hope he enjoys them green bologna sandwiches. All right. State of Florida, Stephan Michael Stearns. Nolle prosequi in the entitled action as to all the unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images. All the 60 counts of that. What is nolle prosequi? Let's find out. No wish to prosecute. Nolle prosequi is a Latin term meaning it's a Latin term meaning not to wish to prosecute. It is used in legal context when a prosecutor decides to drop a case or abandon the charges against the defendant. The term signifies that the prosecution is discontinuing the case, often due to insufficient evidence or other reasons. It reflects the prosecutor's discretion to cease pursuing a criminal action. And so they did that again for all of the matters: unlawful possession of material depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images, all 60 counts. And that was in agreement with the plea deal. Okay. We've seen the order for civil judgment. Let me pull this back up so y'all can see it. Order for civil judgment, DOC packet submitted via ePortal. We'll look at that real quick. Okay, this email verifies the processing with this Central Florida Reception Center. So he was accepted. He was accepted at the reception center for the Department of Corrections on July 22nd at 1:35 p.m. Interesting. Now we got a receipt for the release of evidence. Let's see what that one says. And then we'll go to Kohburger. Oh, that was from the August 23rd hearing, and it was the CD interview with Stephan, Osceola County Sheriff's Office Detective Hunt, CD interview with Stephan number 2, and affidavit for search warrant. That was the receipt saying that they received those evidentiary documents and items when we had the hearing for the very first hearing that we had. Hey, Linda Glover, when you're guilty, you don't want to put your face out there. Jen is doing what's best for her. I agree. Toilet water for him, absolutely. Proverbs 9:18, discipline your son, for in that is hope. Do not be party to his death. What a great Bible verse to drop. I agree. No commissary, no tablet, no books, just a pickaxe, lots of rock, and hard labor every day. I agree. Hey, Robin. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So that's everything for Stephan that I found on those documents. Now we're going to look at the Brian Kohburger documents, which I'm sure y'all have seen all over the interwebs as of now. I haven't had time to go through everything, so we're going to kind of go through it together. Oh my gosh, y'all. It's so freaking much. I'm going to show y'all this. Let me share my screen, my window. Okay, I downloaded these files this morning, right? It starts here. Supplement 50, it's a zip folder, and then we got 51 to 100, 101 to 150, 151 to 200, 201 to 250, 251 to 300, and 301 to 314, right? So I click this first one. Oh no, not to rename it. And then we got Moscow Police Department reports general narrative file folder. Okay, I click on that. Look at all this. Lord have mercy. That's just in one of them. Hey, Wolfpack. Let's go back and see about like these. Lord have mercy. Y'all, there is so freaking much. It would take me a month to go through all this. Lord have mercy. Well, I guess we'll start at the beginning and see what we can find. General narrative from Spillman redacted. Let me see if y'all can see it. Nope. Okay, hold on. This is all of the Brian Kohburger, the Idaho 4 case files from the Moscow Police Department. I guess these are subpoenas. Wait a minute. Threatening, July 12th of 2023. Burglary, June 21st of 2023. November 21st of 2022, there's a welfare check. Accident, February 7th. Brian Kohburger. Xana Ethan Kaylee. November 13th of 2022, charged with burglary, charged with homicide. So is this Brian Kohburger? It's BF, not BK. Huh. White Hyundai Elantra. Unconsciousness. Tire repair kit. Oh, this is the Amazon list. Tire repair kit, scissor jack, 1.5 ton. Cartman, 3 triangles. Now we got grand jury exhibit. Somebody's fingerprints, USB interviews, DVD, vitamin bottle, or VIT. I don't know if that's vitamin. Supplement, interview, fingerprints, extracts. Huh. 2, 4. I'm going to see if like any of these are labeled that. I want to see if we have like the interviews real quick. Hold on, let me go through these and see if anything's a video file. Here, I'll share it with you while I do it. The defense claimed they were given too much information and don't have enough manpower to go through it all. Oh, wow. BF is one of the surviving roommates. Okay, thank you for that, Jenny Jen. Yep, that's what it is. The surviving roommate. Interesting. All right, let me pull this up. I wanted to show y'all. I'm trying to go through and see if there's a video file on anything, but I'm not seeing anything so far. See, it says PDF in red, so these are all documents. Wanted to see if we had an interrogation or something. I have all of this on my Patreon as well. Those are all PDFs. Those are all PDFs. All PDFs. All PDFs. I mean, this is a shitload of evidence, to be fair. I was like, why are you not opening? Yeah, they're all PDFs. Dang it. All right. Go back to this. All right, let me pull this up. Like I said, I haven't had time to go through this, so I'm not sure what any of this stuff's going to be. BK, I feel like there's a big gap too. He didn't random target. I don't think he did either, and a lot of people are saying that they don't think it's his first time committing a homicide. I want to say the prosecution had over 300 terabytes of information and evidence against him. I could be wrong on the number, but the defense couldn't handle it. It looks like it. I mean, y'all saw how much there is. It's crazy. There was a lot going on there under Stearns and the Soto home at any given time. This all could have been prevented. I agree. Hey, Abraham. Shonda Vander Ark got denied for a retrial. Yes, thank goodness. That woman is crazy to think she would ever be found not guilty. I'm glad she got denied. I was concerned during her trial because she was like worked for the district attorney's office, I believe. Lily Gal said, I don't get it. Surely there are enough student paralegals that could have helped them filter all that data. I agree too. I mean, you would think they may be protected PDFs or the version is different. Maybe. I also think BK is Papa Rogers. Who is Papa Rogers? She used that excuse, too much evidence, and didn't get far. Okay. We got a narrative. On November 13th, 2022, at about 12 o'clock, I responded to 1122 King Road in reference to possible homicide of victims. OFC of fucking course? I don't know. Officer Nunes had arrived on the scene and found a total of 4 deceased individuals. Officer Nunes informed other units he believed this to be a homicide. When I arrived, I entered the residence and went to the second floor. I observed a female wearing a sweatshirt and underwear lying in the middle of the bedroom floor covered in blood. This is going to be triggering. Papa Rogers was the Reddit name asking all the questions, also glorifying Elliot Rogers, an infamous incel. Interesting. Hey, Amy. Or Miss Scorpio. Okay. I observed deep lacerations indicative of defense wounds on the female's hands. The female was surrounded by blood on the floor. I observed a male lying on the bed. The male appeared to have suffered from stab wounds and a laceration to the neck. The male was covered in blood, and the bedding around him was soaked in blood. In a third-floor bedroom, I observed 2 females lying in bed, which appeared to have been stabbed to death. The female lying on the left half of the bed, as I looked at it from the doorway, was unrecognizable. Her face was completely disfigured and it was stabbed several times. I was unable to comprehend exactly what I was looking at while trying to discern the nature of the injuries. The second female on the right half of the bed had multiple stab wounds. The comforter was soaked in blood and a pool of blood was still present. I was assigned to hold security in the rear slider door. This was the alleged point of entry of the suspect. I observed very large footprints in the snow. I used a tape measure and the shoe size measured approximately 13.5 to 14 inches. The footsteps went to and from the rear slider door. I observed the trail of footsteps head away from the slider door, turn right around a stump in the backyard, and lead toward the front of the house. I observed a set of small handprints on the window to the east of the slider. The screen to this window appeared to be damaged and was lying on the ground. I located smudged fingerprints on the glass slider door. There was a discarded black backpack in the backyard. I photographed these items and attached them to the case. I maintained rear security until I was relieved by Officer Warner. The only person to enter from this point was Captain Lanier at about 15:27 hours. So, if it was big footprints and then little fingerprints or little handprints on the window, that's going to be two different people. But the kids could have got the people living in the house could have gotten locked out of the house at some point and then went in through the window. I wonder if he had a friend then because he dumped his online data regularly. Yeah, it's very possible. The police admit it was difficult to track his digital footprint because he had forensically deleted a lot of his data. That's why people think there could be other victims, I think. But it's interesting that he was able to delete that even from I think the FBI was involved in this. Vero. Hey, Holly. There were so many people in and out of the house. It was a party house. Yeah. So I think the handprints and footprints would be unrelated. That happened to me the other day. I had to go in through my bedroom window and prints on it and everything. Yeah. It happens frequently, unfortunately. I've had to go through my bedroom windows too. Maybe we can help you go through them and see what's worth addressing. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can send you the link, Abraham. Email me and I'll send you the link to them if you want, and you can use them too on your channel. You have to email me at allegedlyspeculating@gmail.com. FBI. Get the FBI some water. Water. I think it was Xana whose face was destroyed. They did say that they had some of the names mixed up. Imagine if Stearns and Soto ever got married. That would have been a huge mistake. God only knows, but rest assured, God intervened. Yeah, we do need to be locking them bedroom windows. We absolutely do. All right, narrative. Excuse me. Initial response, clearing home, interview with J.H. Watch guard event, felony event. Additional responding officers, case number, evidence. There was no evidence, narrative. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 11:58 hours, I responded to a report of an unconscious, oh, gracious, stop it, unconscious person at 1122 King Road. Dispatched advised a female was passed out from intoxication and not waking up. Dispatched advised, Lord have mercy. Dispatch advised there was a male seen in the room with the female last night. A short time later, dispatch advised the female was not conscious and not breathing. As I arrived, Officer Nunez advised over the air it appeared to be a homicide. I saw a small group of females outside the home in a parking lot. One female advised their roommate was on the second floor and needed help. I went to Officer Nunez's location at the west bedroom on the second floor and passed a male in the living room, later identified as J.H. Officer Nunez advised a female and a male in the bedroom had blood on them and appeared to be beyond help. I walked out of the bedroom towards Jay and saw a clean steak knife on a beer pong table. I pointed out the knife to Nunez. Jay said he had got the steak knife from the kitchen because he arrived and saw the female on the bedroom floor covered in blood and did not know if there was anyone else present in the room. Jay said he checked the room with the knife for protection. Officer Nunez and I walked in the first floor entrance with H. I asked the female and H if there was anyone else in the apartment, and they did not know. I told Officer Nunez the home was not secure, and we started the process of clearing it. On the third floor, in the southeast bedroom, I saw two clothed females lying on a bed, their backs. Okay, lying on a bed on their backs who appeared to be deceased. One female on the left side of the bed, in relation to the bedroom door, had an extreme amount of lacerations to her face and upper body, which made her unrecognizable. The other female had multiple lacerations on her upper body and some blood on her face. I walked to the far side of the bed to determine if the female on the right was beyond help. I saw the female's leg was off the edge of the bed and had lividity. Once I noticed the lividity in the female's leg, I backed out of the room. Officer Nunez and I checked the rest of the third floor and saw it was clear. There was a poodle in the west bedroom on the bed, which was later taken to the Humane Society. After clearing the home, I briefly interviewed Jay. Jay said he was at his apartment and his girlfriend E.A. received a phone call from one of the girls who lived at 1122 King Road. Jay said A was called by one of the residents who said they could not wake the female on the floor. Jay said he came over to the home at approximately 11:55. Jay said he saw the female on the floor in the bedroom and did not see the male on the bed, who he identified as Ethan. Before grabbing the knife, Jay said he entered the bedroom and checked the female's pulse and found none. Jay said he did not check Ethan and left the home. I thanked Jay for talking with me and told him he could go stand with A, who was with the other residents in front of the home. I stood by the front door and started the crime scene log at 12:15. Sergeant Gunderson relieved me for approximately 3 minutes so I could get my gloves during my time at the front door. At approximately 15:02, I was relieved by Officer Roniski, who took possession of the crime scene log and returned to the station. At approximately 15:28, I came back to the scene and relieved Officer Smith, who was standing at the rear sliding glass door, which was found open when officers arrived. I remained at the back door until I was relieved by Officer Nunez at approximately 16:28. You know what I find weird about that is that there was blood everywhere. And hey, Irene, there was blood everywhere, yet like they called saying that somebody was passed out. Like, why wouldn't you say my friends are in the room and there's blood everywhere and I don't know what to do and I'm freaking out. Like I've never understood that. Now, I watched her speak and share her victim impact statement, and I felt bad about always questioning that and why it took so long to call. But I do still have questions. But at the point he saw surviving roommate, something is sus. Yeah. You'd be able to smell, right? I don't get that. Like there's blood everywhere to the point that somebody's unrecognizable. Yet you call and say they're unconscious, and you don't call 911. You call your friend. Which I mean, they're young. I get that, and I'm not victim blaming at all. To hear Bethany's story, and I apologize, but I forget the other surviving roommate, Dylan's story. It broke my heart, and I felt really bad for ever questioning it. But some things are kind of weird. Excuse me. At that point, the blood would be dry and could be mistaken for something else. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Hunter was trying to protect the surviving victims from the horrors of what he saw. Okay, that makes sense. Hey, Julianne. He left a witness. I can't remember what my husband looked like when he. Oh, God, I'm sorry, Dainty. He was trying to protect the girls. Just saying, everyone said the brain was protecting itself. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I think Hunter, the friend, oh goodness, it jumped, was preventing the girls from seeing the victims. He knew when he saw them, he didn't want the girls to know how gruesome the situation was, so he just said, call the police. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I was and did stuff. Maybe I'm too messed up to even understand, but the time gap is weird. It is. I agree. Because I heard exactly what happened from them. I could see how it happened that way. Oh, dang. Well, let me know if you want to come up, Miss Scorpio. Oh, it jumped. Okay. And the smell would have gone because the front door was left open. There's a witness statement, and all of it says it was open when he walked in, when he walked with his dog that morning. Okay. Hey, Roxanne. She didn't fully enter the room. She wouldn't know. Okay. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, Pickles. That's horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of y'all. Good gracious. Y'all have been through some things. We all have, but my goodness, y'all. Y'all are in my thoughts and prayers. I'll tell you that. So sorry. Okay, this is another narrative. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 11:56, I responded to an unconscious subject at the address. Upon my arrival, I found a large gathering of people in the parking lot immediately north of the address. The address is a white 3-story single-family residence with multiple bedrooms. The 1122 designation is located directly above the front door facing north. I was directed to a bedroom on the second floor by H and J in the northwest corner to locate the unresponsive female. Upon entering the room, I observed a female lying supine on the floor next to a bed. According to D and M, this female was likely Kaylee. D. Dylan also lived at the residence. I observed dry blood surrounding Kaylee's body and signs of cutting trauma to her face. Kaylee was covered in so much blood, I wasn't able to immediately discern where any additional injuries would have likely been. Kaylee was apparently deceased due to her pale skin color, rigid body tone, and apparent blood loss. On the bed in the same room, I observed a male lying supine on the bed. According to Dylan, the male was likely Ethan. Dylan said Ethan was commonly at the residence. I observed blood covering portions of Ethan's legs surrounding his body into the bed sheets and drops of blood on the wall near Ethan's head. As I backed out of this room, H showed me a kitchen knife and said he had it in his possession. I told H to leave the knife and go back downstairs to the front entrance. Officer Warner and I moved to visually clear the residence for any suspect or additional victims. Gracious. On the third floor, Officer Warner and I found 2 additional apparently deceased females, both lying supine on the bed. The bedroom was on the southwest corner of the third floor. According to Dylan, these 2 females were likely Xana and Madison. One female showed an apparent traumatic injury to her face due to the basic facial structure being unrecognizable. Both females showed very pale skin. Both females were covered in dried blood and apparently deceased. After the residence was deemed safe, Officer Warner and I exited the residence to secure it and the immediate area to include the parking lot immediately to the north of the residence. I walked outside and began interviewing Dylan. Dylan told me at approximately 4 o'clock she heard a voice scream and believed it to be Kaylee's. Dylan said she heard Kaylee scream and announced there was somebody inside the residence. Dylan said she could hear Kaylee run from the third floor down the stairs to the second floor into the northwest bedroom. Dylan said she locked herself in her bedroom and continued to hear a commotion. Dylan said eventually she stopped hearing a struggle and heard a male voice say, quote, "You're going to be fine. I'm going to help you," unquote. Dylan said she did not recognize the male voice. Dylan said after a few minutes, she peeked out of her bedroom and observed a male described as approximately 6 feet tall, slim build, with a black ski mask, leave the second floor patio area. Gracious. This patio door was likely left open as it was found open upon my arrival. I interviewed an additional roommate, Bethany, who told during the commotion. Bethany said she was on the second floor in the living room watching Vampire Diaries with Dylan, and an unidentified person was watching with them. Bethany said at 2 o'clock on November 13th, 2022, Madison and Kaylee came home from a night out at the Corner Club bar located in Moscow. Bethany said she also believed Madison and Kaylee went to the Grub Wondering kitchen truck that was commonly located in 300 block of South Main Street. Bethany said she and Madison let Madison's dog out, Murphy, sometime between 2 and 2:30. Bethany said during this time she observed no suspicious activity. Bethany said she returned inside while Madison was still outside with Murphy. Bethany said she went to bed around 2:30. Bethany said Madison came in her bedroom sometime after 2:30 to ask if she knew where Murphy was. Bethany said she told Madison no, and Madison left. Bethany said she woke up in her bedroom, which was located on the first floor, to a sound she described as a firecracker and a flash. Bethany said she initially thought the sound was a prank. According to Bethany's phone log she showed me, Bethany called Xana at 4:21, Ethan at 4:22, Madison at 4:22, Madison again at 4:30, and then Kaylee at 4:31. Bethany said she never received an answer on each phone call. Bethany said she went back to sleep and woke up around 11:56 when 911 was called. Initially, I was told Kaylee was likely located on the second floor bedroom with Ethan. After comparing Dylan's initial statement with other investigation officers' observations, it appeared to actually be Xana that was located on the floor of that bedroom, and Kaylee was one of the other females located in the third floor bedroom. I also observed the following vehicles in the gravel parking lot that was immediately north of the address: a Land Rover, a blue Honda Civic, a white Chevrolet Cruze, a red Jeep Wrangler, and a black 2017 Ford Explorer. Hey, drama. Aw, I'm glad you're enjoying your babies. Oh, Michelle, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm sorry I missed that. I really appreciate that. I hope that Justy, that Madeline can get the justice that she deserves. And I know he's in prison. Stephan Stearns is in prison for life, but I still feel like it's not justice. I'm sorry I missed that. Okay, continuing. I was originally assigned to identify all the people in the area. However, I was reassigned to Sergeant Gunderson to begin the search warrant application process. I provided the above information in the search warrant application. At approximately 1628, I returned to the address to assist with securing the southwest patio entrance. I took responsibility from Officer Warner in documenting who entered and exited the residence. I provided this documentation on a notepad and maintained the log until I was relieved by Officer Morris at approximately 1750 hours. The following information is the rear patio entry log from the house from 1517 to 2115. And there's all the officers who came in and went out. Let's see. This one has a photo log. Like, I think this whole like subsection is going to be when they first went in the house. So I'll jump around a little bit to see what we can find. Oh, I love you too. Thank you again. I'm sorry I missed it. Brian Kohburger's dad is hiding. I don't blame them. I would probably hide too. Bogart, I never knew about the backpack either, and I am curious about that. His parents are very quiet now. It is hot as hell in North Carolina as well as Georgia. A whole lot of confusion. It's very effed up, confusing scene. I agree. He didn't show to the sentencing. I didn't know that. Oh yeah, I did. I asked if they showed up, and it told me no. The prosecutor's file in the Kohburger's case were several terabytes, I do believe. Imagine that monster freaked out when he realized he left the sheath. Oh, yeah. You noticed that? BK was far from panicked and reactive, very calculated under those kind of unforeseen circumstances, not to mention the stamina to assault victims as densely as he did. You're very right. It's 104 in Kissimmee. 104. I saw that you emailed me. I need to email you back. I didn't know that, Laura. Gracious. All right. Next narrative. Excuse me. On November 13th at 12 o'clock, I responded to the address for an unresponsive subject. Upon my arrival, I noticed there were several college-age subjects out the front door of the address. I noted, excuse me. I was directed to use police caution tape to cordon off the crime scene. As I was walking around the residence, I noticed the back door was open and there were fingerprints in the snow coming from the back door to the back porch. Officer Smith took photos of these prints with a measuring tape, sorry. He watched the backyard area to make sure no one else came into the area. I noticed there were a few footprints that left toward the west of the backyard. This portion of the backyard is connected to two other residences. 1118 King Road and 1126 King Road, both directly to the west. The footprints appear to lead west toward King Road between the residences, but I was unable to see where the footprints went after the yards connected due to the amount of rock landscaping. I was also unable to discern how old these prints were. There had not been any recent snowfall. With Sergeant Gunderson, I entered the residence to continue taking photos of the scene. I entered through the bottom floor main door on the north side. I took photographs of the room and living areas of the residence. The photos were downloaded on a CD and booked into evidence. The photos were labeled in this report with a brief description of each photo. As I was down the road of the address near King Road and Queen Road intersection, I was approached by a college-age male who identified himself as Jay. He informed me he lived at a King Road apartment. He stated his something lived upstairs at 1122 King Road, and they share a dog that was there currently. Jay did not appear to have obvious wounds on his hand, as I would assume the suspect probably would. Officer Nunez was interviewing the subject about the situation. I asked Jay if he would wait inside Officer Nunez's police car so we could talk with him. He agreed. I informed Sergeant Gunderson of the circumstance involving Jay. Jay later responded to the police department to be interviewed and then picked up the dog from the Moscow Humane Society shelter. I continued to canvass the area to speak with neighbors at the surrounding addresses on Queen Road who stated they did not hear or see anything relevant. I spoke with subjects at another address. One resident, DL, stated she was walking home from the corner club at about 3 o'clock and thought she could hear music or some type of noise, but she couldn't give any clarifying information more than that due to her level of intoxication that night. I spoke with subjects at another address on King Road. The majority of them stated they were out drinking at the corner club and got a ride back to their place about 1:30 and went to sleep at about 2. They did not hear anything out of the ordinary. Another King Road resident, BP, stated at about 4 o'clock he heard a barking dog coming from the east of his residence. He believed it was the dog at 1122 King Road, as he thought that was the only dog in the area. He stated the dog sounded like it was outside and it was barking for about 45 minutes until he believed someone must have let it in at 4:45 when it stopped. He stated he had a female with him in the bed at the time who also heard the dog barking. I spoke with residents at another address on King Road, initials PC, informed me they had a camera facing the west of the address that they believed captures a portion of the road. They first provided me with the SIM card out of the camera. However, they could not get it to work, and neither could I. They gave me the username and password to the camera. I informed Detective Mowry of the information, and they gave me permission to access the camera footage and record the necessary surveillance video. I cleared the scene at 17:19 hours. So they took a photo of a key on the retaining wall north of the parking lot, front of address on all the sides, parking lot, black Ford Explorer parking lot, the seat of the vehicles, back seat, basically all the vehicles, the address, the VIN number of the vehicles, the yard, door toward west first floor room. So the doors, the floors, a knife on the beer pong table, all the floors of the residence, stairwell, kitchen from living room, utility closet, kitchen sink, everything in the kitchen, third floor landing. Oh, I'm sorry, I said the floor. So they got the bedroom, the bathroom, the living room, bathroom, west bedroom female victim, west bedroom female victim, the blood on the floor, the closet, the female victim, the male victim, foot of the bed, male victim, female victim, table, female ID card, the beer pong table and the beer pong table knife, the couch, living room beer pong table that had blood on it, third floor stairs, the rear bedroom, third floor under stairwell, stove and counter, two pictures of the kitchen table, the glass door to the kitchen, the patio, the ground outside the kitchen window, the handprints on the kitchen window and the seal and the screen, the stairwells, landings facing east, the west bedroom, desk, dresser, dog kennel, foot of bed, cast off of blood on the door of the southeast bedroom on the third floor, floor from doorway, bed, two female victims, above the bed, the closet, the victims, um, a car, a Subaru parked on Queen Road and the inside of the Subaru, a Chevrolet parked on Queen Road and the inside of that, a Pontiac, a Toyota, a Ford. They took a picture of the intersection of King and Queen Road. Um, the medical mask outside of King Road. Okay, hold on just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. I had to take a phone call. Hey, to take a phone call. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. It's beautiful here. The locks and the waterfront. I bet it is. He had to have made contact prior. Was he guy at the bar? I know a lot of people have had suspicion that he was the guy at the bar. I don't think they should have demolished it either. When we first met, I thought you were a man, maybe because of all. Okay. I think he saw Maddie in her window, as people have described, you can see, and I think he stalked her from there. Probably. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that he did. All right, let's read this next one. On November 13th at 12:53, I arrived on the scene and spoke with Sergeant Gunderson and Sergeant Lawrence, who gave me a brief overview of the information gathered at the time. Sergeant Lawrence informed me that the Idaho State Police were going to assist in the investigation and were organizing to respond to the scene. Sergeant Lawrence responded to the police department to begin interviews. I remained on scene on the perimeter awaiting further instruction. Approximately an hour later, a male approached the scene and began speaking with Sergeant Gunderson. The male was identified as J.K. I overheard Jay state his daughter lived at 1122 King Road, and he had been trying to get in touch with her but was unsuccessful. Also learned that Jay's daughter, JRK, was nearby the scene. I asked Jay if he and Jay could come to the police department to speak with me. Jay agreed, and I returned to the police department. I contacted Sergeant Lawrence at the police department and asked if he had the names of the victims. Sergeant Lawrence stated he did, and he gave me the list. I saw one of the victims was Xana Kernodle. I then met with Jay and Jay in the interview room of the police department lobby. Once in the room, I activated the audio and video recording equipment. I asked Jay and Jay for their information, and they both handed me their Arizona driver's license. After writing down their information, I asked Jay what the name of his daughter was. Jay told me her name was Xana. I informed Jay and Jay that Xana was identified as one of the victims that she was deceased. Both Jay and Jay became very upset and were crying heavily. It's really sad. I asked Jay and Jay when the last time they communicated with Xana was. Jay stated she texted Xana on November 11th at 1700 hours. She said the text messages were brief and not of any substance. Jay said he texted Xana on the 11th around 1540 and she responded stating she was at work. Jay then told me he last spoke with Xana on the phone on the 11th at approximately 2140 when they spoke about going to the WSU football game. I asked him where Xana worked and he said Mad Greek. I asked both Jay and Jay if Xana mentioned anything about having any issues with anyone or anything strange occurring lately. They both said Xana had not said anything. One said Xana had a boyfriend, Ethan, who she had been dating for about 6 months or so. They said everything seemed fine with their relationship, and Jay added how he met Ethan's parents in passing this weekend. It should be noted, Jay was in town visiting as he resides in Avondale, Arizona, and it was Washington State University's parents' weekend. I asked Jay and Jay if there was anyone they wished me to contact for them or if they wished me to speak with anyone such as a member of clergy. Both told me no. I gave them both my business card and informed them our detectives would be in contact with them. I'm going to try to get the audios and things from this case. Hey, Celeste. um, any crime? No. I think we can FOIA them. That's what I was just thinking. I'm going to try to FOIA everything. Hold on a minute. I got to take it. Sorry. I had to get me on a leave real quick because I got my stomach's cramping. I'll leave that at that. And it just started like really bad. Hold on. All right. As we're definitely not going to get through all of these documents today, I'm going to skip ahead. I'll show y'all in the window. I'm going to go back out of this file because that's just the initial. We'll go to the next one and see what kind of reports we have there. Let's choose 53. Why not? Okay, this one's pretty short. See what we're talking about here. On December 5th at 2022 at about 10 o'clock, I met with L.E. at U of I Office of Civil Rights and Investigation. I provided E with a USB flash memory drive, and she downloaded information that was requested by the investigation team. I returned to the police department and gave the USB drive to the FBI. The FBI. Hey, Hopalicious and Speedily Dose. Dose. I'm going to call you Dose. Nice to meet y'all. Thank y'all for being here. All right, let's see what 54 is. Okay, on November 29th of 2022, I applied and was granted a warrant for any data associated with Kaylee Gonzalez's Tinder account using the following identifiers. On November 29th, the warrant was served via email. On December 2nd, I received an email. Paralegal and director of the legal department for Match Group, the parent company for Tinder. I was directed to use the law enforcement portal and resubmit the warrant. On December 4th, I registered for access to the portal and received an email stating I was approved to use the portal and serve the warrant. I logged into the portal, submitted the warrant again. On December 5th, I received an email from Tinder stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant were available for download. I logged into the law enforcement portal and began downloading files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant, returned the receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Tinder. Wonder if the next one's going to say that, like, maybe he was on her Tinder or something. Let's see. Department of Labor warrant. Okay. On December 4th, I found I had received an email forwarded to me from KW of the Idaho Department of Labor. The email was from Michael Douglas of the FBI. S.A. Douglas assisted in the service of the warrant. The email contained a single file with data requested pursuant to the warrant served on the IDOL, which will be Idaho Department of Labor. The file was downloaded. And examining the file, it showed the requested party's name, date of birth, social security number with a screenshot of their reported income. I completed the warrant. Returned receipt of affidavit. These documents were sent to the prosecutor's office. And they sent a copy to the FBI. What on earth? Lord of mercy, what are all these damn redactions in this one? I hope not. I hate when they make it difficult for the public to obtain these things. Not only do we fund these departments, but then to charge so much is, yeah, it is. And I've paid about I think it was $225 for information on Stearns several months ago, right? And I FOIA requested everything on Stearns that can be released since the case is now closed, and I've got to pay for it again. And I was like, asked today, I said, okay, if I send the money for 20 hours of work, which would probably be $225 again, I said, which information would I get first? This information or the other information I paid for? And they sent me an email back saying that their backlog is 6 to 9 months. So if I pay for it right now, I still wouldn't get it for 6 to 9 months. Hey, Jennifer. Oh, thank you for saying thank you. I think it was probably Chow. I think I said your name earlier that Chow gifted you. Or no, you might have been the one that was gifted from Miss Scorpio. I'm not sure. But thank you for saying thank you. I think they redact to save us as much as not to exploit the victims. They do. They do it to save the victims. All right. So this is December 4th of 2022. I found I received an email of the Cutico Corporation, the parent of K-Bar Knives. The email was from Michael Douglas of the FBI. The email contained a single file with data requested pursuant to the warrant served on K-Bar. So I located numerous individuals and companies who had purchased the product matching the description in the warrant. In the state of Idaho, the following sales of 1,217 K-Bar knives were located. Wow. That was a popular knife. Y'all, that's just one small thing on Amazon. And all those people have bought it. Look, just in that year alone, too. Boy, I know why Amazon is so damn rich. Yeah, I'm not happy about it. Okay. Jennifer, you have a good day. Hey, Abby. Probably slim to none because the state feels like that they've got their man that's guilty for the homicide of Madeline behind bars, and so they're not going to use money to pursue it, if I had to guess. All right. This is a geofence warrant. They got it November 18th at 23:30. They served the warrant. On November 20th, they received a notice the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. They were downloaded. Based on the information received and in correlation with the cell phone tower records previously reviewed, 2 of the anonymous identifiers were found to be of interest. Those identifiers were, and they've been redacted. So on November 20th of 2022, they were granted a warrant for any data associated with the previous identifiers, including subscriber information. SA Nick Balance with the FBI assisted in the production and service of the warrant. Warrant was served on Google. Balance received notice the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. They were downloaded and put on a forensic computer lab. It was found that one of those identifiers came back to the phone number. They completed the warrant. The documents were sent to Lake Hall County Prosecutor's Office. All right. I'm going to skip down, way down, and see if we get into anything else other than emails. Okay. On December 30th, 2022 at 8:45, disaster services responded to King Road to begin cleaning the residents of biohazard and other chemicals used during the crime scene processing. This was a prearranged response as members of disaster response were setting up their tents and barriers. I received a call from Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson. Mr. Thompson advised me that a judge order had just been issued requesting all mitigation and cleanup be halted immediately. At that point, I instructed disaster services crew members to stop. I confirmed that the door to the residence had not been opened and no one had entered the residence. I checked the evidence tape on the door and no one had entered the residence. I checked the evidence tape. Oh, sorry. To ensure that the seal had not been broken, I stood by while all of the equipment was loaded back into the response trailer and the entire team left the area. Well, I wonder why he halted all cleanup immediately. Let's see if the next document tells us. Oh, this one goes to November 21st. This person traveled from Moscow to Meridian to drop off evidence at the state police forensic lab. I signed for a DNA profile which had been generated by the forensic lab. This DNA profile was collected from the knife sheath, which was found by the state police during the initial search on November 13th. The sheath had been transported to the lab by the troopers. DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged in an evidence envelope by technicians and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on the 21st, sometime between 16:30 and 17 in Mountain Time. Once I took possession of the DNA profile, it stayed in the box provided me until 11/22/22 at 3:30, when I removed it from the box and placed it in a small backpack. The backpack then stayed in my possession. The only time I was not physically holding the backpack is when I went through TSA security at the Boise airport. Okay. I arrived at Houston, Texas. I traveled to Othram. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile over. We completed the chain of custody. I have burned all these files onto a DVD. Okay. So that was about the DNA. I'm going to read this last one from this subsection. Fish cure cooked by acid, such as lemon with flavorings. That sounds good. Okay. On January 3rd, I applied and was granted a warrant for data related to the email address. I received an email stating the data requested pursuant to the warrant. I logged into Google. I completed the warrant and receipt. The documents were sent to the prosecutor's office. Okay, we're going to go into 101 through 150 now. Let's see what we got. January 4th at 10:30, I released the remainder of DM personal property to somebody. Somebody signed for him. On January 5th, I learned from Bill Thompson per the recent signed court order to halt all evidence. Dylan's items fell under that order. Thompson stated his office would contact Dylan and make arrangements to have Dylan's items returned to Moscow Police Department. On January 6th, Sergeant Blaker traveled to Boise, Idaho, and picked up Dylan's personal belongings from that person and transported it back to MPD. Okay. Okay. On November 23rd at approximately 2039, MM came to the police department to be interviewed about her presence in the area the early morning hours of November 13th. M was identified as being in the area through records obtained from a DoorDash via a search warrant and was confirmed as being in the area based off a Google geofence warrant, which was obtained as a result of this investigation. I was accompanied by FBI Special Agent Skelton during this interview. So this is about the DoorDash driver. M told me she worked for 12 to 18 hours. Okay. She told me she worked for 12 to 18 hours on the night of November 12th and the 13th and received 3 orders in the King Road, Queen Road area. 2 of the orders were at the Queen Road apartment complex, which is immediately to the east of the address. She said the delivery at 1122 King Road was her final order for the evening. She said she could not find the 1122 King Road address as the address number was hidden by the porch light, which caused her to remain in the area for approximately 15 minutes. She also stated her Google Maps told her to go to the parking lot immediately behind the residence. She stated she initially parked at the front of the address and could see a female in the top left window of the third-story bathroom. She said she saw the female a couple more times in the same window and she would duck down when M looked at her. Okay. Who did y'all say was in that window? That girl, the person that was in the window was ducking down when the DoorDash driver looked at her. The DoorDash driver said she then drove to the back of the parking lot and parked. She stated she could see the back courtyard area behind the house and noticed that all the lights were on. She stated her map told her to walk into the back of the house, but she did not feel comfortable doing so because there was no path. She stated she walked down the road, which runs north to south immediately to the east of the residence. She stated a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking. She said there was a male driver and noticed, quote, he did not look at me, unquote. She said he looked, quote, completely zoned, unquote, and drove by her. She later stated the driver was white with blonde or red spiky hair. She also noticed the dome light on the car was on when it went by and later told me the male was wearing a light-colored collared shirt. She stated she walked back up to her car and drove back to the front of the address, at which point she saw the address numbers. She said she placed the order at the front door, took a picture, and left at 4 o'clock. During the time the DoorDash driver was in the area of the King Road residence, The white Elantra can be seen via the King Road camera driving back and forth on Walenta Drive and then enter King Road Queen Road loop at approximately 3:56. At the point she pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind her vehicle and then exited King Road at approximately 3:58. She did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. So, y'all, does this mean Brian Kohburger pulled in? Oh my God. Does this mean that Brian Kohburger pulled in behind the DoorDash driver and then backed out the driveway? Lily Gal and Abraham, oh my God, thank you so much for the document funds. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you guys so much. That was so very sweet of you. Lily Gal said for the Freedom of Information Act fund, and Abraham said for Freedom of Information Act document fund. Thank you for the great work you do in reviewing these cases with us openly and discussing difference of opinion. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I felt like I've been kind of boring just reading these documents. Thank you for that. That will help out tremendously. Thank you guys so very much. Wow. Y'all are so sweet. Thank you. That was amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Wow. So what do y'all think? Oh, thank you. Hey, Kathleen and Mayla. Oh, I like tamale. You about to go make me get my can. I got a can of tamales in there. I'm gonna be eating them. Okay. So yeah, it sounds like he pulled in behind her. I'm gonna read it again. At the point the DoorDash driver pulled in the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind the DoorDash driver's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then exited the King Road at approximately 3:58. And the DoorDash driver did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. I continued to question the DoorDash driver about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at one point with her flashlight out. She can be seen doing so on the footage from the King Road. She also continued to tell me the female she saw in the upstairs bedroom window would duck down when she looked at her. The DoorDash driver described her as having long brown hair. DoorDash driver stated she could not identify the girl as one of the victims. Apparently, hey, Blue Jay, we do. We learn about a lot. Thank you, guys. Okay. Apparently, approximately 30 minutes into the interview, S.A. Skelton requested her take part in a cognitive interview. The DoorDash driver agreed, and S.A. Skelton began the cognitive interview. So they're testing her thought processes and ability to, like her intellect. During this interview, the DoorDash driver confirmed much of the information she already told us. She was able to remember she had her dog with her during one of her walks in the area, but did not clarify much more in the ways of details of the evening. We thanked her for her cooperation, offered any support she may need, and concluded our interview. Subsequent investigation of video footage and cellular data showed the tan sedan she saw was likely a light-colored SUV which left the area. Moreover, it does not appear that she saw the white Elantra at any point during her time near the residence. Y'all, that is crazy to me. I did not know that Brian Kohburger pulled in behind her. Aw. Was like, why wouldn't it highlight it? That's so sweet, Abraham. I think the DoorDash driver in the video you showed us was creepy as fuck and also maybe with PTSD, to be fair. I agree. It's weird to hear that he actually pulled in the address right behind her. So they had a lot on him. Oh, okay. This one talks about where Brian is arrested. Okay. On December 29th, based on the above information in Latah County Court signed by the order of finding probable cause for the criminal complaint charging burglary and 4 counts of homicide in the first degree, all felonies, a warrant of the arrest was issued for Brian C. Kohburger. On the 29th, Brian was arrested at his family home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The same day, a Pennsylvania magistrate signed a search warrant for the residence, which included Brian Kohberger's cell phone. Brian Kohberger's cell phone was taken into evidence as part of the search warrant. Brian Kohberger's cell phone device is currently in evidence at the FBI Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory. The phone data was extracted by the FBI subsequent to the warrant. On January 9th of 2023, I received a hard drive which contains a copy of the data extracted from the phone belonging to Kohberger. The data is saved on a 2 terabyte external USB drive with the serial number and is labeled as Philadelphia RCFL evidence number X. I applied for and was granted a warrant seeking the evidence from the hard drive provided by Pennsylvania, which contains a forensic image of Brian Kohberger's phone, which was stored in the secured computer forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. At 15:50 hours on January 9th, I served a warrant on the hard drive located in the forensic lab. Pursuant to the warrant, I downloaded the files and put them at the Moscow Police Department. The documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and then put back into evidence. I began examining the data for any accounts linked to the phone and Kohberger with other electronic service providers such as Facebook, Snapchat, etc. I located installed applications. He had Yik Yak, LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, Tinder, Dropbox, Washington Trust Bank, PayPal, YouTube, TikTok, Musical.ly, Amazon, Visa Prepaid Processing, When to Meet, Activision, GroupMe, NutTeller, Hulu, Instagram, Facebook, PSECU, Spotify, Booking.com, Travelocity, Strava, and NordVPN. The electronic providers may be storing data relevant to the investigation. So they applied for a warrant. Oh my goodness, Miss Scorpio, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for all the support today. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so very much. Those memberships went to Natalie Fork, Jeff Law, Constance Atkinson, Loudmouth, and Big Pat. If you were gifted from Miss Scorpio and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Miss Scorpio thank you. Thank you, Miss Scorpio, so much. I'm going to grab the crazy train and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you, Miss Scorpio. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Thank you again, love. It's raining memberships. Thank you, guys. All right, I need to give my voice a break for a minute. So we're going to pull up a video on this because I know there's probably a new one. Let's see what we can find. The judge cried. Look at him staring her down. That was crazy. That was only 2 minutes. Hold on. Let's see. Live court feed. This talks about the second weapon and the homicides, and it'll give me about 3 minutes. So we'll watch that real quick. I think that's it says Brian Kohberger used second weapon and homicide victim's lawyer with Ashley Banfield. Hold on. And this one says he had no connection to the victims. All right. Let's see what this says.
Now is Shannon Gray. He is the attorney for the Gonzalez family. He read several of the statements for that family in court today, including for grandmothers. Shannon, thanks for being on tonight, and please pass on our best to the Gonzalez family. I wanted to ask you about the meeting that they had with investigators that Steve Gonzalez said lasted 3 hours. You were present for that meeting. What details were they finally told about what happened inside that house after waiting for 2.5 years?
Well, we met with the investigators for about 3 hours on a Zoom call. We had a list of questions, a lot of questions that the family wanted to ask. They answered all of them. Some of them they had answers to, some of them they didn't. As far as the details of stuff, I'll let Steve and Christy talk about the details and what they want to release on their own timeline. But, some of the stuff that you've already talked about, which is, a second weapon, that aspect of it. Because there was blunt force trauma to Kaylee's face, there was some sort of weapon that was used against her face. And the investigators didn't know what that was, and couldn't figure it out. So when they're referencing the second weapon aspect of it, it's that because of the blunt force trauma that was to her face and her mouth area. So
I was trying to get clarity on that, because when the reporters asked the police officers in the press conference, they said, we are only looking for a singular K-bar knife as this weapon. But you can ask the family about the other weapon. It seemed odd. Did they think that maybe something in the room was used, or did they believe?
I'm pausing for fair use real quick. I had to get something to eat. Yeah, we're talking about tamales, and I had a can of tamales, so I paused for fair use. I'm back now.
He used something else and took it with him and disposed of it.
I don't think they know. I mean, they said they were, they tried a lot of times, a lot of things to try to match the wounds on her face, the blunt force trauma that was on her face, around her mouth, and they couldn't figure out what it was. So they don't know. And since they don't know, we don't know. But there was something that was used against Kaylee, because our meeting was about Kaylee. We were, the officers and the family respect that they'll have their own conversations with the other families about.
Do you guys think that it was the other side of the thank you, the other side of the K-bar knife? I'm wondering if that's what it was. Oh yeah, I know it does. Miss Scorpio said, I feel like it was something in the room that already belonged to the victims. Yeah. I think it was the other part of the K-bar knife. Like, yeah, Dainty Dane. Mm-hmm. That's how the Marines use it. Yep. We'll probably never know. He's never going to say, but I'm pretty sure it was something he just picked up in the room. You think? Were there only two? Yes. As far as I know, there was only 2 surviving females in the house.
Xana and Ethan and Maddie. So if they want those conversations to happen. So ours was really about Kaylee. And there was something that was used, and they don't know what it is. So
it's just so distressing to hear that she was stabbed over 30 times and that Xana was stabbed over 50 times. It's just unimaginable. It's worse than we all obviously thought. I mean it when I say it. Please pass on our best to Steve and Christy and their kids as they're going through utter hell tonight. Shannon, thank you for this.
Thank you for watching.
I often wonder what else was used as well. They always sound like that in paragraph. He said, and he was in some sort of ROTC in school, so he knew what Marines did. Well, I was in ROTC in school as well. But to be fair, I do know that they would use the other side of the knife, so I guess maybe he did. All right, let's go to 108. Sorry, y'all. I had to eat some. I hadn't eaten none all day. And them canned tamales you can get at the store? I got one. I had one in there, and so me and the kids just split it real quick, and I had to grab some to eat, so I apologize about that. It could have been something he took with him and disposed of it with the weapon. They never found the weapon, correct? Correct. Yep. I would pay anything to see Brian Kohburger's face when he realized he left evidence priceless. Yeah. Okay. Next document. Now that I've ate something and my voice got to rest for a second. Excuse me. Okay. On November 11th of 2022 at around 1427, I conducted an interview with JL at the Moscow Police Department. Jay told me she lives at Taylor Avenue. These apartments are referred to as the Whites. Jay stated she went to 1122 King Road in the afternoon of the 12th and was hanging out with Xana. She stated they all went to the, quote, Whites, unquote, around 1300 or 1 o'clock for different parties in the apartment complex. Ethan left to go to his sister's formal, but she was not sure what time that was at. Jay felt she got to Xana's house around 12:30 on November 12th. She stated she saw Xana, Ethan, Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, Maddie, C, L, and E. Jay told me she feels she last saw Xana and Ethan around 1500 hours, but was not sure. She told me she got a text from Ethan asking for the Snapchat for CG, but she never sent it to him. Jay did not know what Ethan wanted this information for and stated as far as she knew, they did not have issues with each other. Jay told me where she had heard from the others that Kaylee had seen some random guy behind the house when she took Murphy to go pee. Jay also heard of an incident where some random guy followed Kaylee around Winco and followed her out of the store, and she thought he tried to get into her car. Jay was not sure for sure who she heard this from, but either E or D, Bethany or Dylan could tell us more. Jay told me she knows Ethan and Xana like to use Adderall when they drank, but they did not know who they got it from or if they took any on the 12th. Jay was not able to tell me anything else related to the case. Do you guys think that could have been Brian following her around? I mean, it said that Kaylee seen some random guy behind the house when she took Murphy out to go pee. And there was also an incident where a random guy followed Kaylee around Winco and followed her out of the store, and she thought he tried to get in the car. That is creepy. Yeah, it's tamales that are like in a can, like I forget what they're called. But they like wrap them in paper and put them in a can. They're so good. Like I'll get 3 or 4 cans of them and put them in a baking dish and cover them with cheese, and we'll eat them for dinner with sour cream, and I'll make some Spanish rice. It's really good. I'm wondering if it was Brian. Like, and if it was, and they've got that on him, Lord have mercy at the evidence they could have had on him that we might not know about, you know? All right, let's go to the next one. On November 13th of 2022, at around 1441, I conducted an interview on AW at the Moscow Police Department. A lives at Queen Road, which was in the area of 1122 King Road. A was not working at the University of Idaho football game. No, she was working at the University of Idaho football game. He or she, I'm assuming she, I apologize for that, and was at the game until around 20:45 hours. This person did not have any interaction with the people who live at 1122 King Road. This person saw and heard all the emergency lights and sirens and looked out and saw some of her friends standing outside with white blankets around them. They went out and brought more blankets to the people outside to try to help. That person told me a few weeks ago on October 14th at around 1 o'clock, she heard what she thought was a male walk up to her door and try to open her door. She stated she had her deadbolt and door were both locked. She told me she saw photos on Snapchat by Kaylee showing Kaylee and Maddie had been at the corner club and the grub truck. This person was not able to tell me anything else about the case. So with that person staying in the apartments and somebody trying to come in, does that mean it's like not a great area and people try to break in, I would have learned how to bake tamales. It's 96 degrees and it feels like 118. Ugh. I love Missouri. I want to live in Missouri, Amy. I couldn't handle y'all talking about tamales, and I knew I had that can in there. I had to eat something because I didn't eat. I usually eat eggs in the morning, but I did not. I got mad actually because I made pickled eggs yesterday, and I was trying to can them, and my can busted in the canner. So I was really mad, and I went on a walk, and I didn't eat. So and cheese, I love cheese. I'm sorry, Amy, that it's so hot. All right. So this is talking about evidence. There was an item on the nightstand, an item on the comforter. No, I guess the nightstand, the comforter, the blue blanket, pillows, mattress, bed frame, pillows, shelf and picture, nightstand, pillows. On January 6th of 2023, I went back to the address with several members of the Idaho State Police in order to collect several pieces of evidence at the request of the defense counsel in the case. Once on the scene, we collected the mattress, bed frame, nightstand, pillows, and blankets from Kernodle's room. We also collected the mattress, bed frame, folding frames, nightstand, pillows, and shelf from the east wall of Mogan's room. The items were wrapped and transported separately back to the Moscow Police Department, where they were placed on opposite sides of the Moscow Police Department evidence bay. I completed the evidence involvement for each item, and they were secured in the bay. That's a lot. They collected a nightstand, a comforter, a blue blanket, pillows, mattress, and bed frame. And then that was from one of their rooms, Mogan's or Xana's. And then in the other room of Mogan's or Xana's, they collected the mattress, bed frame, pillow, shelf, and picture, nightstand, and pillows. I wonder where the picture was located for it to have blood on it, because I'm assuming these items have blood on them. Oh, I was like, "Why are you saying that? What happened?" Yeah, I was really mad. I threw my damn canner, the thing you used to grab the cans out, threw it on the floor. I said, "I'm going for a walk," and I went and collected herbs. I should have stayed and ate something. All right, what's this? On November 13th of 2022 at approximately 14:20 hours, I interviewed MC at the Moscow Police Department in reference to the quadruple homicides at 1122 King Road. M is Ethan's probably mom or dad. M consented to a forensic search of her phone, and I collected it from her. I asked M to tell me what her day looked like on November 12th. She stated that she had her formal the night of November 12th, so it might be his sister. She stated she did not do much prior to the formal and then went to Hunga Dunga for the event at approximately 1900 hours. She said HK and Ethan left the formal with several of their friends at approximately 2000 hours. M stated she was dropped off at her house and the group was planning to go to the lodge party. However, she stated she did not go and remained at her sorority until H called her the morning of November 13th at approximately 12:30. M stated her friend told her to come to Xana's when he called her. She said he did not elaborate on why she needed to come to the house. She stated a bunch of people were there when she arrived. She said someone told her when she got there that someone was in the house and Ethan and Xana didn't make it. She told me Ethan, Xana, and somebody else had been texting her the night prior asking her to come to the house. She said she saw the text when she woke up in the morning of November 13th. She stated she did not go into the house that morning. So what are we texting all the damn college kids in the whole area and asking them to come? Lord of mercy. Well, that is his sister. Let me hush. Okay. She said she could not think of anyone who or any reason why someone would commit the homicides. I concluded my interview and advised her to reach out if she needed me. All right. like I said, we're not going to be able to get through all of these, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to the very last section of the documents, and we'll see what they say. Let's go to 302. Miss Scorpio says they were scared and they called their friend's boyfriend to come over and go upstairs and look at things. They didn't go up there. They were frightened. Thank you for that. Sometimes I get confused. I'm like, why? But a lot of people don't think like me, like, or, would think, hey, this is a crime scene. We need to preserve evidence, so I get it. Dylan often got scared and texted people to go around. Okay. I would much rather be cold than hot. Hunter said they were unconscious because he didn't want them to know what was up there. It was so bad. And the docuseries fills in some blanks. Okay. All right. This one is from Tuesday, August 27th. They received additional email referencing Kohburger. The email contained a secure link. Pullman PD public record database and downloaded the include. Okay, so that's files from Pennsylvania they got. On Monday, September 16th, I spoke to somebody. Somebody was an inmate at the Latah County Jail at the time and had been housed next to Kohburger since August of 2024 until Kohburger's transport to Ada County on September 15th. I was made aware by Detective Vargas that the inmate spoke about Kohburger while on a phone call with his mother. I responded to the county jail and spoke to the inmate. I began asking the inmate what he thought of Kohburger having had to live next to him. He told me Kohburger was highly intelligent and polite for the most part. He told me Kohburger would often question him about his past criminal offenses and why he was in the maximum security wing of the jail. I asked the inmate what he thought of Kohburger's intelligence. The inmate stated Kohburger was the smartest person he had ever encountered while in confinement. The person told me Kohburger quickly became annoying because of some of his habits. He told me Kohburger would wash his hands dozens of times each day and would spend 45 minutes to an hour in the shower. I asked him if Kohburger slept at night. He told me Kohburger would be awake almost all night and would only take a nap during the day. He said he could hear Kohburger moving around all night, which also annoyed him. I asked the inmate if Kohburger ever lost his temper. He told me on one occasion Kohburger was video chatting with his mother, which the inmate said he did for hours each day, while the inmate was watching sports. The inmate said, quote, "You suck," to one of the players on the team, at which point Kohburger immediately got up and put his face to the bars and aggressively asked if the inmate was talking about him or his mother. The inmate said this was the only time Kohburger lost his temper. I asked the inmate if Kohburger had mentioned anything about the crimes he was charged with. The inmate said Kohburger did not mention his alleged offenses at all. The inmate also told me Kohburger was excited to move to Ada County. The inmate stated he had served time at Ada County and noted he did not think Kohburger would like to be there. I thanked the inmate for speaking with me and advised him to notify the Latah County detention deputies if he remembered anything else he wished to tell me. We haven't heard anything from his mother. Yeah, another mama's boy. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna read the very last document in this document drop, and that'll probably be all for today because my voice is tired. My throat hurts. All right, this is the very last document in all of the file, and it is from July 10th of 2025. Agency reports and video collection. On June 26, 2025, I reached out to Pullman PD records technician and requested any reports, charging documents, and all recordings involving from June 1st, 2022 through May 31st, 2025. I informed R, I had located the following reports involving M and Spillman related to PPD. R responded and provided me a link to GovQA where I downloaded all the reports, body cam video, and all other recordings provided. I reviewed the body cam footage from DR. In the following video, at approximately 8:30 into the 8 minutes and 30 seconds in the video, M talks about having to testify in an upcoming homicide trial. Okay, that's the video with the DoorDash driver involving the 4 college girls because she's the DoorDash driver. M's voice is muffled, but it sounds like she says, quote, "I saw Brian there, parked right next to him," unquote. On June 26th, I contacted the property records coordinator and requested any reports, charging documents, and all recordings involving the DoorDash driver. They replied and provided me 2 reports. I contacted Whitman County records technician and got all the documents. They provided those to me. I downloaded the reports and put them on DVDs. We remember seeing that DoorDash driver, and she was really freaked out and upset. His mother was probably the driving force of his obsession with Bundy. She wrote a book on Bundy. Really? I did not know that, Hannah. That's interesting. Most human traumas come from what to attend to made their kids go through the age up until 5. I've heard. I'm not an expert, but sounds right. I know. I need to get me some honey. I need to do something. I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to go do. Vera said that DoorDash driver showed more emotion than Jen ever did. I know, and that's sad. That's really sad. All right, y'all. I'm going to go for the day. If you want these documents, email me and I'll email you the link. I didn't pay for these. I got them for free. And I mean, it's pretty simple request. But if you want them, I will email them to you. I don't mind doing that at all. Also have all the documents uploaded on my Patreon. Everything we went over today is on there if anybody's interested in that. I hate when a client takes 2 to 3 weeks to process commission. You received an email when ready, and the next day they email again asking, oh my God. That's crazy. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for everything. I appreciate y'all so much. I can't express to you. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys, and I appreciate y'all listening to me just go through these documents. I will work on going through and trying to find anything of importance, though I'm sure you guys have already heard most of it on YouTube already because a lot of people have already been through them. I am going to try to get videos and interrogations and all of that for this case as soon as I can. I love y'all very much. I love the time we get to spend together. I love our speculating family. Thank you. Like, I can't say it enough. Thank you. I would not be anything without you guys. I could talk to myself until the cows come home, and I would be nothing without you guys. So thank you for that. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here every day. If nobody has told you, you are important, you are enough, you are special, and you are loved. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.